dears, welcome back. So we are studying about light and shadows. So what is light? Light is a form of energy, and the objects which allow light to pass through them are called transparent objects, and the objects which block the light are called opaque objects, right? And we discussed about shadow also in the last class. So what is the shadow? When is the shadow formed? Yes, a shadow is formed when an opaque object blocks the passage of light. Because we know that if it is a transparent object, the light will be passing through the substance. But when it is an opaque object, it will block the passage of light, thereby resulting in the formation of a shadow. So based on this concept of shadow, today we are going to discuss about some other points. That is, the points which we are going to discuss today is based on the concept of shadow. So keep in mind that when an opaque object is blocking the path of light, a shadow will be formed. And the features or the things necessary for the formation of a shadow are an opaque object, a source of light, and a screen. So this principle of shadow, based on this principle of shadow, we are going to study about three things. First one is day and night, then lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. So first we will discuss about the concept of day and night. We know that the earth is rotating about its axis, right? The movement of the earth around the sun is called revolution, and the earth is also rotating about its own axis. It is an imaginary axis and the earth is rotating around it. So during this process of rotation, we know that the sun is facing the earth or the earth is facing the sun. And when it is rotating, what will happen? If suppose you consider this as earth. Suppose this is earth and I am marking the parts that is A and B. And when the earth is rotating about its axis, let me take another balloon and consider this as a sun. So when this part A is facing the sun, what will happen? A will be receiving enough light, right? The A is getting enough light. That means it will be daytime in the point A. It will be daytime. And what will happen when it is rotating? See, the earth is rotating and now the point B is facing the sun. So now it will be daytime in the point B and night at the point A, because A is now away from the sun. So I hope you understood how day and night is, because there is earth is keeping on rotating, and when it is rotating, see, when the earth is rotating, when one point, that is the point A, is now facing the sun and it is day in the point A, and it will be night in the point B. And when the earth is rotating again at the point B will be facing the sun and A will be away from the sun. That means it is daytime in B and night at the point A. So this is how day and night is caused. That is, day and night is caused by the rotation of the earth around its own axis. So that is about the concept of day and night. When the earth is rotating about its axis, the part of the earth that faces the sun will experience daytime, and the part that is away from the sun will be experiencing night. Now going to the next topic, that is eclipse, that is lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. So we know that the earth, the sun and the moon all are opaque objects. That is, the moon and the earth are opaque objects. And what is sun? Sun is a luminous object, right? The sun has its own light, so it is a luminous object. And earth and the moon are opaque objects. So when they come on a straight line, they will be casting shadows. That is, when the sun, the earth and the moon come in a straight line, the earth will be casting its shadow on the moon and the moon will be casting the shadow on its earth, depending upon the position of the moon and the earth. So this shadow, this casting of shadow is considered as eclipse. Eclipse means the shadow that is casted by the earth on the moon or the moon on the earth. And there are generally two types of eclipses. They are lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. Lunar eclipse means a part of the moon or the moon as a whole will not be visible to the people on the earth. That is called a lunar eclipse. And solar eclipse means the sun as a whole or a part of the sun will not be visible to us. That is called a solar eclipse. Now we will study in detail how this is happening. So please look at the board. That is, in the lunar eclipse, the earth is coming in between the sun and the moon. So what will happen? Look at the picture. Please observe the picture that is displayed on the screen. That is when the earth comes in between the sun and the moon in a straight line while revolving around the sun. That is, the earth comes in between the sun and the moon. What is happening? The earth is casting its shadow on the moon. The earth is casting its shadow on the moon and it stops the light of the sun. It is stopping the light of the sun from reaching the moon. Hence the moon cannot be seen. The moon cannot be seen partly or as a whole. So this is called a lunar eclipse. And you can see in the picture that the lighter portion of a shadow which is formed due to the partial blockage of the sunlight, that is called penumbra. You can see penumbra is marked in it. That is the lighter portion of the shadow and the darker portion is called umbra. You can see in the picture that is penumbra and umbra are marked. So this is the part that is blocked by the sunlight completely, that is called umbra, and the lighter portion of the shadow which is formed due to the partial blockage of the sunlight is called penumbra. And that is what we call a lunar eclipse. So that is when the earth is coming in between the sun and the moon. The moon will be blocked from getting the light of the sun. So the moon will not be visible to some part of the earth, and that is called the lunar eclipse. And if it is completely not visible, it is called a complete lunar eclipse or total lunar eclipse. And if it is not partly visible, it is called a partial lunar eclipse. Now going to the topic, solar eclipse. So in solar eclipse, as you can see, the moon is coming in between the sun and the earth. The moon is facing in between the sun and the earth. So what will happen? Please look at the figure shown in your screen. When the moon is completely in the dark shadow of the earth, that is when the moon comes in between the sun and the earth while revolving round the earth. That is, the moon is coming in between the sun and the earth. What will happen? It will stop the light of the sun from reaching the earth, or we can say that the sun will not be visible to some portion of the earth. So that is what we call a solar eclipse. That is when the moon is hiding the sun from the earth. It is called a solar eclipse. And if the sun is completely hidden by the moon, it is called a total solar eclipse. And if it is partly hidden, it is called a partial solar eclipse. I hope you understood both the points, that is lunar eclipse and a solar eclipse. In the case of lunar eclipse, the earth is coming in between the sun and the moon. So obviously the moon will not be receiving light from the sun. So the moon will not be visible to the people on the earth. Similarly, in the case of solar eclipse, the moon comes in between that of the sun and the earth. So some part of the earth will not be receiving the light from the sun, resulting in solar eclipse. So both these concepts, that is both day and night and eclipse, is based on the principle of shadow. I hope you understood the topic, and with this we have come to the end of this chapter. So children, which are the points that we discussed in this chapter? We studied about light, the different sources of light, luminous and non-luminous objects, then how does the light travel, then reflection of light, then the formation of shadow, then we studied about day and night and eclipses. So we have completed the chapter. So dears, please read the textbook and be thorough with the terms that we have covered in this chapter. Okay dears, thank you.